Hello there. Even as the dust settles on the newly forged EU UK Brexit agreement, the Remainers are still manoeuvring to try and spin us back into the European Union. I stayed up all night monitoring the results as they came in on EU Referendum Day, together with fellow ardent Brexiteers. All of us refusing to relax until the very last result came in that sealed the electorate's wish that the UK exit the European Union, then quaff the last of the champers before retiring. But even then I was telling people that this was just the firing of the starting pistol that started the real race within and against the Remainer-dominated establishment. And in the days that followed, as many people celebrated and said, "Job done," I knew that the real work had only just started. I also knew that even if we gained a full and unequivocal exit from the EU, there would always be machinations going on in the background to try and manoeuvre us back into the dreaded fold. Be in no doubt that in 5, 10 or 20 years' time, however long it takes, at the first hint of an economic downturn the cries will go up. We must rejoin the EU and get into the euro for our own survival, if it all still exists, that is. Every dedicated leaver has been saying for years that the long-term plan is for the UK to be assimilated into a greater European empire. I won't call it federalist because it would not be a federation. It would be a unitary form of top-down dictatorial government. But for too long people thought such claims outlandish. Now we are finding out the truth through the pronouncements of such people as Jean-Claude Juncker, Emmanuel Macron, Antonio Tajani and Martin Schulz. After the Brexit vote, the Remainers had hoped to keep us in the single market and customs union to keep the door open for our return to full EU membership. But whatever you say about yesterday's agreement report, there is no real hope for them on that score in the immediate future, as it has been acknowledged that the UK is leaving both the single market and customs union. Whether an attempt will be made to control us via that agreement is another matter. But that will not deter the Remainers in their long-term aims to ensure we are politically and economically joined with other European states at some time in the future. Brexit to them is a mere hiccup in their proceedings. A prime example is that vintage Tory Lord Heseltine. Appearing on LBC Radio shortly after Jean-Claude Juncker made his State of the Union address calling for a much more integrated Europe, he told Ian Dale that he still thought that the UK would rejoin the EU and join the euro at some stage in the future. Then on Thursday he appeared on Ian Dale's show again and he was asked if he believed in the sort of United States of Europe that Martin Schulz had just called for, and his response was, "Yes, I do really, let's not muck about." He later went on to say, "If we were to go through with Brexit, which is by no means certain but it's possible, then we will actually join the European colleagues as a new generation takes power in this country." There is also Gina Miller, who is now saying that Brexiteers would rather stay in the EU than not have a clean or hard Brexit, presumably thinking that if we can only get a soft Brexit, then leavers would just say, "Oh well, I suppose we'd better stay in then." She also said that, although not a fan of a second referendum, she had changed her mind because of the lying and deceiving politicians. Talking of a second referendum on Radio 4, she said, "I am coming round to the idea that perhaps trusting the people might be better than trusting some of our politicians." So, my question to her is, why didn't she just trust the people in the first referendum then? But we all know the answer to that one, don't we? Now these are just a couple of Remainers, but there are so many more just like them still within the establishment and media who are of the same mind, and a simple thing like Brexit will not change their attitudes. These people, who obviously dislike the UK, want us in the EU and will let this nation pay any price to achieve it. As a large and rich country, can you imagine the size of the rejoining fee we would have to pay, which would in all likelihood include ditching sterling for the euro, completely opening our borders to all comers, putting huge amounts of collateral into the ECB and EIB, handing over our fishing grounds and probably oil and gas fields too, surrendering our seat on the UN Security Council, and handing over our armed forces and nuclear deterrent to foreign base control. Gibraltar would also surely be lost. Then there would also be the city to consider. All these things would have eventually been handed over had we voted to remain, be in no doubt. Anyway, as this nation moves forwards, I believe that the memory of the EU will quickly fade from most people's minds. Once they see that we can do quite nicely on our own, they will become less and less ready to give up their hard-won independence. And the remainers of today will become the rejoiners or joiners of tomorrow. Future rejoiners might find it a lot harder than they think to get the people behind the idea of paying a huge price to surrender their sovereignty again. What do you think? Please leave a comment below. Thank you. Please do like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel. And when subscribing, please do remember to press on the little bell next to the subscribe button. That way you'll get an alert every single time I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching.